Today I am going to be showing you some fun and kind of unique ways to dye Easter eggs with your kids. So if you're looking for a new and different way, be sure and check out this vlog. The first method I used Cool Whip, and I liked using the Cool Whip because it's edible, but some people also use shaving cream, which wouldn't be bad either. You just want to make sure you get the foam, not the gel shaving cream. But for this one, I took just a shallow pan and then I dumped a whole tub of Cool Whip inside of it. And then I let Layla Jane, I know this is a little risky, you might not want to let your kids do this, but I let her squirt some of food coloring just in little dots all throughout the shaving cream. And we used a bunch of different colors. And then we took, I think it was a knife, and we just kind of smeared it around and swirled the colors. And then once we had it, so we liked it, so it looked kind of like a cool marbly effect, we took our eggs that had just been soaking in vinegar and we dried them off and we rolled them around in the whipped cream. After we had rolled them around, I just put them aside and let them sit for about 30 minutes. When they were done setting, we took them out, wiped them clean, and had a really pretty kind of mixed color egg. I thought those turned out pretty cute, but I gotta say my favorite part was licking the whipped cream afterwards. That was kind of fun. So that was a fun and edible way to make some Easter eggs. The second method we used was with a paper towel. So this one, again, we took our vinegar soaked hard-boiled eggs and then we wrapped the egg in a paper towel. Looking back on the first try, I wish I would have had like a rubber band or something to secure it. I think that would have made it a lot easier. And the first time around too, we used a gel food coloring, and I felt like that one was really thick and globby, but that's all I had at the time, so we just went ahead with it. All we did was I let Layla Jane, again, I was being very brave and trusting. I let her put some dots of food coloring all around the egg on the paper towel. And then I just had her do all different colors until we had the paper towel pretty much covered with food coloring. And then I let it dry. And I actually let it dry for quite a few hours because I wanted to really make sure it soaked down to the egg. Now, when we opened up the paper towel, I wasn't very impressed with how it looked. So later on, when Layla Jane wasn't around, I retested it and I got some other food coloring, just like regular food coloring, not the thick gel one. And this time I wrapped it up and I secured it with a rubber band and I squirted the food coloring all over it. And then I sprayed it with water so that the colors would kind of bleed it together. And then I let that soak overnight because by that point it was really wet because I had sprayed it with water. And the next morning when I opened it up, there were some spots that still didn't have color in it, but the spots that did had the really cool like indented pattern on it from the paper towels. And I thought that was a really cool and unique look to it. And I'd be curious to test it out with like other paper towels that might have different designs on it to see if those bleed onto the egg like that. So this one was fun. It took 2 tries to get it right, but once we did, I was impressed, but now I need to try to figure out how I can get the whole egg dyed because I thought I did a good job coloring the whole paper towel with the dye, but obviously I didn't because I still had some white spots. But oh well, it still was cool. Next method we used was with rice. I took a small Tupperware and filled it with long grain rice. And then I put in a few drops of food coloring. This time I didn't mix the colors. First one I did was all green, and then I also did one that was all purple. Then I put the food coloring in and shook it. So all the rice got around it and it kind of got stuck onto the egg. And when I took them out, they had a really cool pattern to them. I really liked it. It was, you could kind of see like the rice grains on there. But the only thing you have to be careful of is you have to make sure you don't shake too hard because Layla and I got a little aggressive with one of them and the shell started cracking. You either want to add more rice so it's really cushioned or just, maybe don't shake as super hard. Also, one thing I forgot to mention too is when you put the food coloring in, make sure you stir it around and get all the rice covered with the food coloring before you put the egg in and start shaking. I felt like this was the cleanest and easiest method. It was fun for Layla Jane and I liked it because, as I said, it was pretty clean and the food coloring and the rice washed right out of my Tupperware and didn't leave any stains. The next one I did involves rubber bands, and I actually did 2 different ways with this one. So first step you need to do is put rubber bands around your egg. And this one's kind of hard, especially for little kids to do. So I had to do this for Layla Jane. And I had a bag of just a variety of different sizes of rubber bands and just kind of played around until I made them work and just kind of crisscrossed and put them all over. After that's done, I got some plastic cups and filled them about 1/4 of a way full with baking soda. And then I let Layla Jane squeeze in some food coloring into each cup. So each cup was its own color. And then we poured in some water to make a paste. If your paste is too runny, add a little more baking soda. If it's too thick, add more water. The point is you want to be able to get a paintbrush in there or like a cotton swab or something and be able to mix it around so the colors all blend. And then you're going to paint your eggs. And you want to be careful to not accidentally move the rubber band while you're painting, because the whole point is when it's dry, you're going to take the rubber bands off and it's going to be white where the rubber bands were. It does get a little messy, this one, so I suggest being prepared, maybe having something laid out underneath your project because the baking soda can kind of go all over. But I really liked how this one turned out. And a way you can extend this is take those eggs after you've painted them with the baking soda mixture and put them in like a deep dish or something, and then have your kids pour vinegar over it. And you know, baking soda and vinegar makes a fizzy, fun explosion. I shouldn't say explosion, but just kind of a fizzy experiment that kids love. And Layla Jane loved that, and we did that for a while with the eggs. And either way, they both turned out cute, whether we did it with the vinegar or we just did it plain and didn't do the vinegar. I let them dry for about 10 minutes and then kind of wiped them clean with a paper towel, and then I took the rubber bands off, and it was really cool. We did have a few spots where the colors kind of bled into where the rubber band was, and I think that was just Layla being a little overzealous with the paintbrush and really getting at it, and the rubber bands were moving a little bit, but she was still very impressed with it, and I thought they turned out really cute. So that was a fun one, and the vinegar is a way you can kind of make it more STEM and science-y. The next method we did was using a white crayon. So the very important thing about this one is you want to make sure you have a good wax crayon. So I had a Crayola crayon and I also had like a cheapy one, but they're the only 2 white crayons I could find. So Layla and I were both using that, and what we did is you take your plain egg and you decorate it. Now it's a little hard because you can't see what you're decorating because the white just blends in. But it is there. You are leaving some wax residue on there, so you can let your kids go crazy, make any designs they want. They could write their names on there, their initials, make patterns, whatever it is. And you just want to have them kind of decorate all over with it. I did notice that one of the crayons, the Crayola that was wax, withstood and did a lot better than my cheapy crayon did. That must not have been 100% wax. Once you're done decorating it with the crayons, you want to get a cup and fill it up with about a tablespoon of vinegar and then a cup of boiling water and then some food coloring. The darker you do, the more vibrant the color will be. So I always use a lot of food coloring. And then you're going to place the egg that you just decorated with the crayon into the container. So you want to let the egg soak in that vinegar hot water mixture for about 10 minutes and then carefully take them out because they're still hot. So you might want to do this and not let your kids do it. And then just let them air dry. Now I did notice that some of them, the crayon kind of came off, and this is one that I would like to try again. I haven't had a chance yet, and see if I just kind of do it by myself, if I can get a better pattern to show up. but you still could see the pattern, and it was pretty cool. And I really like this one, and I think it would be fun to experiment some more with it and maybe write like Layla's name on it, different letters on there, and have her recognize the letters too. So that was a fun one. Just again, make sure you have a good crayon. The next method we tested out, I like to call galaxy eggs. So you take a cup, and I added about a cup of boiling water, teaspoon of vinegar, and a bunch of food coloring. And you can do as many cups as colors that you want. Then you're gonna take your hard-boiled egg and place it in each cup. So we had you might have a red one, you might have a purple one, however many colors you wanna do. And you're gonna let that soak for about 3 minutes. Then you're gonna take that out and let it dry a little bit. And while it's drying, you're gonna take another cup and fill it up with just regular water. You only want it to be about a half an inch thick, or whatever it is. I mean, I guess it depends on how big your cup or bowl is, but you only want half of your egg to be covered with water when you stick it in. So you're gonna fill it up with water, however high you need to, and then put in a tablespoon of vegetable oil, or whatever type of oil you have. Canola oil, I'm sure, would work fine too. And then of course you want to add some food coloring into that too. Always food coloring. Then you're gonna stick one of your colored eggs into the new bowl, and you don't wanna do the same color. So if you already dyed it red, don't put another red one. Test it out and like switch up the colors. So maybe take a red one and stick it into the yellow one, whatever it is, however you wanna do it. You're gonna stick it in and let it set there for about 3 minutes. And again, only half of it is gonna be submerged in the oil water mixture. I was kind of taking a spoon and pouring it over the side that wasn't covered too. But then after about 3 minutes, you're gonna flip the egg. And then you're also gonna do the same thing. Let it set there for about 3 minutes. If you wanna be pouring some water with a spoon over it while it's going, you can do that too. After you do that, take them out of the water and place them on a plate with a paper towel and let them dry. You might need to wipe them off just a little bit, but I thought these turned out really cool. I liked these a lot, and they kind of just look galaxy-like. That's why I like to call them my galaxy eggs. But that one was super fun. It involved a little bit more prep and more cups than some of the other ones, but I thought it was worth it. Now this one was my favorite. This is the nail polish method. So I took a cup and filled it with water and let it set out for a while, because it has to be room temperature. That's very important. I took a few different nail polishes and just started adding drops of nail polish onto the water, into the cup. Now, if the nail polish sinks, it means your water is too cold or too hot and you need to let it set a little bit longer. If it's the perfect room temperature, the nail polish will just float on top. I noticed that every time I started with the color, that one kind of dispersed and went all over the top, which ended up being fine. But then once I started adding more colors, it would just be like a perfect circle all around. So I did about 2 to 3 colors of nail polish. And then I took my hard-boiled egg and I just grabbed it by the ends, so just barely, I was barely touching any of it, and dunked it into the cup. And at first I thought if I turned it around while it was underwater and brought it back up, the other side would get covered too, but it didn't work that way. So what I found works is I dunked it once, and it got that side that I dunked in, it got super coated with the nail polish. It was all swirly and it looked awesome. And then I went and set it down, and I went and put more nail polish on top of the cup again. So I was kind of like I was doing it a second time. But this time, I took the egg and I dipped it with the blank side, the side that hadn't gotten colored on it yet, and I put that side in first. So it got covered, and then pulled it out, and it looked so cool. I really liked this method. It was fun, but I definitely suggest wearing gloves for this one, because it can get messy. I mean, you should probably wear gloves for all of these to try to keep your hands as clean as possible. We were walking around with blue fingers for a few days, but it was worth it. It was so fun. But I gotta say, the nail polish one was my favorite, and I thought it turned out the coolest looking. So there you have it. There are the fun ways that we are decorating our Easter eggs this year. Let me know if you try any of them and if you have any other fun methods that I should test out. Thanks for watching. Bye.